Training for local observers for the upcoming general elections took place on Tuesday morning at the Antioch Baptist Church. Due to the fact that observers from the OAS mission will not be overseeing this week's elections, the observer group will be made up of local members of the St. Kitts and Nevis Christian Council and Evangelical Association. The training was facilitated by former Supervisor of Elections, Eugene Petty, who spoke of the significance of the day's training.
So the purpose of the training session was to assist persons in gaining a better understanding of what is involved in observing elections. I first tried to impress upon them the important role as an observer. I also took them through the electoral process in terms of observing the opening of the poll, voting, counting of the ballots, and closing of the poll. I think persons would have left here with a better understanding of what is required of them in terms of performing in a very impartial manner.
In speaking about the church's new role as election observer, pastor of the Antioch Baptist Church, Lincoln Connor, said the idea was never for the church to work alone in this capacity.
The reality is the church has always been a part working with other groupings, and that was the expectation leading up to the elections, and that's just the reality. And I think for folks now to say, well, let the church alone do it, I think it's hypocrisy. Frankly, I really think so, because in all elections gone by, the opposition parties have always rallied the government to have observers. And as a matter of fact, the current administration made it clear the last election that there had to be observers on the ground. And I have seen the role that overseas observers play when they come. And we should not minimize or downplay the role of overseas expertise observers. We really should not do that. I really believe that it does not speak well for our democracy, because we have not developed that cadre of observers on the ground to do exactly what is required.
Provost and parish priest of the Pro-Cathedral of St. George with St. Barnabas, Reverend Canon Dwayne Cassius, said while the training was informative, as it stands, he is undecided as to whether or not he will participate in the observer mission on Friday.
I'm a bit uncomfortable because the time is so close, and in my mind it's sort of like taking on a crash course to do a professional job. And I'm not sure if it's one thing to say we believe in God and God can do all things, but at the same time, there's a certain amount of practicality that has to be involved in processes, and my thing is where and when better can be done, better should be done. So honestly, I'm a bit undecided right now whether or not I'm going to be involved in the process.
Former Supervisor of Elections, Pastor Leroy Benjamin, said while the concerns of the participants are understandable, he believes they will be able to do the job well.
I think it is a question of the short time, the time span which they have had to prepare for this particular mission. In the past, they were not, there were others on the ground, and I think it's coming to a realization that it just may not be. And I think there was a concern that they didn't want to see themselves as being just the only group around, because people might get the impression that more or less that others are not here and they are the sole. And in truth and in fact, they are doing something what they have been accustomed to do, but I don't think they want people to see as, hey, they are replacing others. And I think that is one of the concerns.
The observer training continued with a virtual session at the ICT Center on Tuesday afternoon.